Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton and we are talking about the Beatles for the month of July. And because we're going to talk about some live Beatles, I'm going to talk about a kind of live thing. This is John Lennon and Yoko, John and Yoko, Plastic Ono Band, however you want to credit it. I call it a John Lennon album. Sometime in New York City, released on June 12th, 1972 in the United States. It came out on September 15th, 1972 in the UK, so the UK fans had to wait a little while on this one. And the reason I picked it as a live album, because there are some live recordings on this album. While it's not a proper live album per se, it is a semi-live record. Now, this was his third solo album after the Beatles, and it's a difficult album, and I think a lot of fans are really mixed about it. Now, it was produced by Phil Spector, as seen in the corner there in the little apple. Ono News Fit to Print, that's fit to print. And so, it really was kind of a poor album, both commercially and critically. I mean, before that, we had Plastic Ono Band and Imagine that had come out. And so this album was a little more difficult. And I think I know why. John and Yoko had moved to New York City in 1971. They were heavily involved in political peace causes, really involved in the counterculture, very critical of the President of the United States. They were in Greenwich Village, and they kind of hooked up with some activists, Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman. They had gone to a rally for a left-wing writer, John Sinclair, who had been in jail for marijuana possession. And so this album saw Lennon at his most sort of outspoken politically. A lot of the material that informed this album was politically motivated. You had songs about the Attica prison riots, Angela Davis and Herb jailing, female oppression was a topic. There were quite a few things out there. Lennon and Yoko flew to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and for a John Sinclair rally. He had recorded the song "The Chords of Fame" with Phil Oakes, who was very outspoken politically, and so it really was a very sort of overtly political record for John. He also hooked up with David Peel to do the Ballad of New York on the David Frost Show, and so there were quite a few things going on. Lennon was being very outspoken, but I think just as an album, the politics was really heavy-handed and hard on the listeners. Now, I picked it as a live one because in the double album, there's a live album called Live Jam, and it featured some live versions: Cold Turkey, Don't Worry Kyoko, Mummy's Only Looking for Her Hand in the Snow, some stuff that was recorded at a UNICEF charity show, and so there was some live recordings included on the original double album. Musically, it's difficult. It's got some of the big production, but this is Lennon's only what I would call protest album, and as a result, it's probably a little more difficult to the ears. But it does have some live recordings as well. So anyway, Sometime in New York City by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. John and Yoko, Plastic Ono Band. Today's Daily Record. What do you think about this album? Comment down below. Like, subscribe, share. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. In the meantime, I will see you all again tomorrow with another Daily Record.